gather in. Gather in. If you will rise in body and spirit, I'm going to stay seated for us today. We're going to do a song that we kind of played with a little bit. Here we go. Gather in, all the people, gather in. There's a place here for all people, gather in. 'Cause when I sit beside your spirit, the road seems a little less dim. Gather in, all your gather in. Let's try it again. Gather in. Gather in, all your people, gather in. There's a place here for all people, gather in. 'Cause when I sit beside your spirit, the road seems a little less dim. You're sounding good. Gather in, all your people, gather in. Gather in. This time we're going to sing, gather in all your voices. Gather in all your voices. Gather in. There's a place here for your voices. Gather in. 'Cause when I sit beside your spirit, the road seems a little less dim. Gather in all your voices. Gather in. Gather in. Gather in all your stories. Gather in. There's a place here for your stories. Gather in. 'Cause when I sit beside your spirit, the road seems a little less dim. Gather in all your stories. Gather in. Gather in. All right, I want to need your help a little bit. We're going to do, let's sing, gather in. Say, gather in. Gather in. Can you sing that with me? And gather in. Gather in. Some of y'all can keep holding that down. Gather in. Gather in. Gather in. And then I'm going to ask another section. How about your section? Can this section sing all the people? Can you sing all the people? All the people. And everyone else is singing gather in. Gather in. Sounding good. Gather. You're sounding great. All the people. All the people. All the people. All the people. And maybe we can sing something a little different. How about gather in, gather in, gather in. Help me out, gather in. Can you sing it? Gather in, gather in, gather in. Gather in. Here we go from the top. Gather in. Gather in all your people. Gather in. There's a place. There's a place here for all people. Gather in. 'Cause when I sit beside your spirit, the road seems a little less dim. Gather in all the people. Gather in.
If someone's looking for a seat, there are plenty of seats here, and there are seats over here as well. So come on down. You don't need to stand if you don't want to. And then we're going to shut the doors, and I'd be grateful if we can keep them shut for our opening words. It is not enough to whisper our discontent, to write to each other with gaping mouths. We are not observers. We are no audience. At stake is our freedom.
It races the miles of our sacred bodies. Without it, we cannot claim to be holy, to be human. Our no makes the only way for our necessary yes.
What do we have to have right now in this breath?
A blessing on your slowed work.
A blessing on your boundaries.
A blessing on your no.
A blessing on your filibusters.
A blessing on your judgment.
A blessing on your lawsuits.
A blessing on your marches.
A blessing on your platformed risks.
A blessing on your passing the wisdom.
A blessing on your public stands.
A blessing on your private ones.
A blessing on your thefts from fascist corporations.
A blessing on your radical art.
A blessing on your rebel call.
A blessing on your altar work.
A blessing on your ancestors and the songs they pour through you.
A blessing on your dignity.
A blessing on your duty.
A blessing on your children. Our children, all of them, ours.
A blessing on your masks and your meds.
A blessing on your passing for safety.
A blessing on your safe houses.
A blessing on every sanction. Defy us.
A blessing on your Constitution.
A blessing on your state's rights.
A blessing on your tax resistance.
A blessing on your sit-ins and blockades.
A blessings on your shutdowns.
A blessing on your security systems.
A blessing on your stealth communications.
A blessing on your sabotage.
A blessing on your walkouts.
A blessing on your heart-based secession.
A blessing on your family tables.
A blessing on your therapist's soul.
A blessing on your community deepening.
A blessing on your pods and mycelium.
A blessing on your seed banks.
A blessing on the land you love.
A blessing on the truths you teach.
A blessing on the books you save.
A blessing on the truth you tell.
A blessing on our dream of democracy only realized through our everyday bodies.
A blessing on the people who were only given the earth.
For our chalice lighting. Even in our sorrows, we feel our lives. Cradled in holiness we cannot comprehend.
And though we each walk within a vast loneliness, the promise we offer here is that we do not walk alone. This is a holy place in which we gather, the light of the earth brought in and held, touched then by our answering light.
The flame on a chalice, the flicker of a candle, the lamps of our open faces brought near. In this place of silence and celebration, solemnity and music, we make a sanctuary and name our home.
Said I'm sorry, but I understand. Oh, now she wanna off me. Oh, that's your plan. I think I'm sick of love songs, but I love you.
I love you.
Ain't impossible to love wrong. I know what to do. Breathing, isn't it a good thing?
I love every day.
Isn't it a good thing? I can hold myself up. Isn't that a good thing?
I love every day.
Isn't it a good thing? I can hold us both up. I need you to understand every part of me, mama, not do everything properly. We got it out the mud, you smell the poverty on us, caught in a moment. What you call an excuse, I'm calling it fruitless. I don't mind if it's fruitless, temporarily killing off all of the arrogance, all to carry me through. It's just part of my heritage, you gon' tear me in two. Grass on the other side looking mighty enthused, I'm more than slightly amused about it. I'm laughing to the bank, only radicals move mountains. I'm swerving around the avenue, 3.5s weren't ever measuring magnitude. We synchronize, just some heathens breaking even as the ego dies, and that's a good thing.
I love every day.
Isn't that a good thing? I can hold myself up. Isn't that a good thing?
I love every day.
Isn't that a good thing? I can hold us both up. And you don't even see me as me. A bad habit, come and kick it with these. You uncommon, but I acknowledge the fact we into similar things, babe. I'll get it off my chest on release day. Right now I'm with the band, so you know it ain't nothing but a G thing. You know the vibes. I hear the hate that keep coming right from the other side. The crazy part, I know those guys. I'm unbothered cause I know those types. If we talking music out my city, watch your mouth. Cause isn't that a good thing?
I love every day.
Isn't that a good thing? I can hold myself up, isn't that a good thing?
I love every day.
Isn't that a good thing? I can hold us both up.
Good morning. Oh, yes, I needed to hear that this morning. It's so good to see you all. Welcome, welcome to the Eno River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, or ERUUF, as we like to say. My name is Reverend Jacqueline Brett. I'm the lead minister here, and whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your race, your gender identities, whomever you love, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey or on your search for truth, meaning, and liberation, and a lowered cell phone, that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We welcome you here, beloved community, with us. If you're visiting with us for the first or perhaps even the second time, I invite you to rise in body or spirit so that we might give you an ERUUF welcome. Yes. Thank you all so very much for choosing to spend your Sunday morning with us. And for those of you who are visiting for the first time, at 10 o'clock on Sundays, we have a class in the building next door in the Commons Room called Inquiries for Visitors and Newcomers. And we invite you to participate. You get to learn through 8 different classes a little bit about us, and you get to share some things about yourselves as well. And so we welcome you to those classes. And for John, just so you know, that for anyone who needs a seat, we have plenty of seats here, and we have some here as well. Thank you. So for those of you who might be considering sort of eminent membership at ERUUF, you might want to join sooner than later. On March 8th, there's an all-day Inquiries for Visitors and Newcomers, all 8 sessions from, I think it's like 9 to 3 or 3-ish. And you can take all of those sessions and learn about us and share about yourselves. And if you want to become a member, Michael, our Director of Membership Development, will be there and can tell you how to do that if you're interested. How to get registered for that class is in our weekly e-news, or you might see it on the screen in the foyer, in the gallery outside, or ask one of the visitor hosts and they can give you that information. How many of you have taken the Pulse survey? All right. I'm not even going to say a name. So, the Pulse survey is our survey that we ask our visitors, our members, or really members and friends, because you would have to have attended here for a little while to be able to fill it out in a real sense. But the Pulse allows us to take the pulse of the congregation to understand, for me and the rest of the ministers and the Board of Trustees, to understand what is actually working here, how is it working, or what we might need to do less of, what we might need to do more of. And so your voices are very important to us. That Pulse survey will close this week, so please consider taking it if you have not already done so. Your voice really matters to me. It helps to guide our work now and in the year ahead. So you can take the Pulse, or can be shown how to take the Pulse in the fellowship hall after this service. There'll be a group tabling who can either give you a computer to do it or show you how to do it on your phone. It takes about less than 15 minutes to take this survey, so please take it. Can I get an amen? Amen. All right. I'll be looking for it. On Wednesday of this week, we're having our finance forum that is on Zoom. If you want to attend, anyone can attend that forum. It's a time during which I and our executive minister, Reverend Daniel, provide the congregation with an update on where we are 6 months into the year with our finances. And so you can bring your questions, or you can just sit and listen and get that information. So we invite you to come to that. Information on how to register, again, is in the weekly e-news, or you'll see it on the screen in the gallery, and you can point your device to the QR code, and it'll show you how to get registered so that you can get the Zoom information. For those of you who might have been interested in attending the 2 o'clock workshop with Reverend Teresa Cooley, that has been canceled. Reverend Cooley was not able to make it here from Ohio, and so you got me. And so I had to experienced the change of needing to write a sermon on the fly last minute, because I wasn't expecting to and was looking forward to that. And I thought, so I got to eat some of my own cooking as far as that's concerned. So today, not only, while we don't have Reverend Cooley, we do have our artist in residence, our inaugural artist in residence, Demeanor. And just to tell you a little about Demeanor, Demeanor is a rapper and musician from Greensboro, North Carolina, and Justin Demeanor Harrington coined the term rap is folk after merging his experience as a clawhammer banjo player and a hip-hop artist, making the assertion that hip-hop is a traditional American folk music form. A OneBeat Fellow Alum, Harrington has been featured on the Americana Award Nominated album Freedom Highway and reached Billboard Bluegrass's top 40 with his collaboration with Gangstagrass. Who knew? He recently made his debut on NPR's Tiny Desk series with Jake Blount. Harrington formed a nonprofit in 2020 named Haus of Lacks, which now works under the name Studio 176, which is dedicated to empowering and uplifting the artist community by providing platform, opportunity, and education for those who seek to build a career outside of the metrics of the modern music industry. As ERUUF's inaugural artist in residence, Demeanor was selected from among a group of highly accomplished applicants representing a variety of art forms. Many of us who have already enjoyed his time with us during the workshops he conducted over the past 6 weeks. We are sorry that you weren't able to be there too, because we had a whole lot of fun. He will also, though, have a concert here at ERUUF in late May. His residency has been made possible through a grant from the Eno River Fellowship Foundation. And please join me once again in welcoming Demeanor. So now would be a great time to turn down the devices you might have on your person. And let's now center ourselves into this time and this place. And let's all take a collective deep breath in and let it out. And we continue. Is that me? I'm supposed to.
And I'm going to invite all of our smallest and mediumest and tallest folks down for our time for all ages. Oh my gosh, here they come. Here they come, here they come. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. Smallest, mediumest, and tallest, and some of their very tall friends and relatives accompanying them too. Today's story starts with some challenging stuff, but there will be a good ending. There will be a good ending. And so I'm going to ask for all of you and all of you to wave your hands sometimes. Hi, are you looking for... Yeah. Well, there's a spot there, right there for you, unless you're looking for a specific person. But it's okay. So, there's going to be some challenges here, because sometimes, is life a little hard sometimes? Oh, you found your person. Is life a little hard sometimes? Yeah, sometimes life a little bit hard. And sometimes what's hard can be, everything seems like it's changing a lot. Sometimes things can seem a little scary, like we don't really know where they're coming from. We don't know what's going to come next. Sometimes that's called chaos. Heaven knows we know nothing about chaos. You do, I do too. You and I bet some other people in this room. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you. How many people have had that experience? You walk into a room and there's nobody really like you. Okay, a few of us have had that experience. Maybe it will be your skin, your clothes, or the curl of your hair. There will be times when no one understands the way the words curl from your mouth. How many people have had that experience? The beautiful language of the country you left behind. My name is Rigoberto. We just moved here from Venezuela. And because they don't understand, the classroom will fill with laughter until the teacher quiets everyone. Anybody ever had people laugh about the thing you said? And not like a funny joke, but in a way that felt like not friendly. Anybody ever had that? Yeah. It happens sometimes. Rigoberto from Venezuela, your teacher says, so soft and beautifully that your name and homeland sound like flowers blooming the first bright notes of a song. A little piece of acceptance and welcome. There will be times when the words don't come, your own voice once huge, now smaller. When the teacher asks, what did you do last summer? Tell the class your story. Has anybody over here ever had that experience of like everybody's talking about their exciting travels and you didn't really travel anywhere? You just kind of stayed home? Yeah, it's real. We went to France, Chayla says. These shells came from a beach in Maine. A boy named Jonathan holds out a jar filled with tiny shells, so fragile, they look like they'll turn to dust in your own untraveled hands. My whole family went to India, Spain, South Carolina. Now, for us, South Carolina isn't a big deal. I get it. In this story, I think they're based in New York. I could be wrong, but I think it's New York. Each souvenir a small triumph of a journey. Their travels going on and on. And as you stand in front of that room, you can only remember how the heat waved off as it lifted off the curb, and your days spent at home caring for your little sister, who made you laugh out loud and hugged you hard at nap time. You can only remember the books you kept on reading long after your sister had fallen to sleep. And in that room where no one else is quite like you, you'll look down at your own empty hands and wonder, what good is this when other students were flying and sailing and going somewhere? I gotta say, though, it was still pretty cool that you got to hang out with your sister. I don't have a sister. Oh, you have an 8-year-old sister? You have a sister? You got a big sister? Yeah. We got some sisters here. Yeah. There will be times when the lunch your mother packed for you is too strange or too unfamiliar for others to love as you do. Has anybody ever made fun of your lunch? Yeah. There's a few people here. I see just a few people have made fun of their lunch. When even your own friend Nadja will wrinkle her nose and say, "What's in there anyway?" And you'll wonder how she doesn't see the rice beneath the meat and kimchi. You'll wonder why she doesn't remember that rice is the most popular food in the world. Did you not know that? Rice?
I thought it was steak.
No. Look, steak might be the most popular food for you in the world. But rice is the most popular food across the world. A lot of people eat rice. How many people here eat rice? Anybody eat rice? I eat rice. Yeah. And you know, rice even goes good with steak. I love y'all. Yeah. Yeah. We got a lot of opinions, and I love that. There will be times when the climbing bars are too high, the run is too fast and too far, the game isn't one you can ever really play. Anybody have that experience? Yeah. I don't want him on our team. You can watch. Maybe you can have a turn later. Not very kind. There will be times when the world feels like a place that you're standing all the way outside of, and all that stands beside you is your own brave self, steady as steel and ready, even though you don't yet know what you're ready for. Oh, this is where it gets happier, y'all. It starts getting happier. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you until the day you begin to share your stories. Yeah. My name is Angelina, and I spent my whole summer with my little sister, you tell the class, your voice stronger than it was a minute ago. Reading books and telling stories, and even though we were right on our block, it was like we got to go everywhere. Your name is like my sister's, Rigoberto says. Her name is Angelina, too. And all at once, in the room where no one else is quite like you, the world opens itself up a little wider to make some space for you. This is the day you begin to find the places inside your laughter and your lunches, your books, your travel, and your stories where every new friend has something a little like you, and something else so fabulously not quite like you at all. So sometimes that blessing is finding things that are the same and the things that are different and getting to make friends around those. And now we are about to very safely move out of here to continue our religious exploration for today. And I get to come with you.
Peace, salam, shalom. 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 Please turn and greet your neighbor.
Please join me now in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, we gather today to pause in the midst of our daily routines, to seek solace and support in turbulent times. Life can leave us feeling hungry for hope, and the swirl of news and noise all around us. Help us to once again find our center, the ground of our being, and remember the power of love to transform and heal. Let us come together this day in gratitude and celebrate the blessings of community that remind us of who we are, who we can be fully, and how we can make a difference in the world. Each week, we also hold in our hearts joys and concerns, global, local, or here within our ERUUF community. This morning, we hold in our hearts David Yeoman's father who broke his femur. David is checking in and helping out with his father. We hold in our hearts Lou Millen, who is in cardiac ICU in serious condition. No visitors at this time. We send love to him and the whole family. We hold in our hearts Stephanie, who lifts up her friend Amy, who just lost her new job at the EPA after a long search. She would like to lift up her friend and the thousands of others who are in this same situation. We hold in our hearts all those in our community and in our own families facing grief, loss, or illness. we hold in our hearts and pray for the people all the world over facing war and conflict. In these challenging times, let us remember that we are one global family living on the same human-impacted earth. Let us center ourselves in compassion as we work for justice and peace. We also hold in our hearts all those celebrating joys, milestones, and successes in life at this time. May we always continue to remember and celebrate these moments on the journey together. We lift up all of our prayers and blessings, and may this prayer guide us as we seek to create the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. May it be so. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. 'Cause there is more peace somewhere. Do you feel it? There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on until I find it, yes. 'Cause there is more joy somewhere. There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere.
So I've attended and sometimes led many a meeting these past several weeks, during which we began with a check-in question akin to, how goes it with your spirit? Folks inevitably talk about how beyond worried they are, how afraid, concerned they are that the world as we know it and the prevailing mythos, the underlying beliefs and assumptions we've held about this country of ours, even when our actual lived experiences have belied some of those very assumptions, but beliefs and assumptions held by many people all over the world, whether they be individuals or nations, all seem to be falling apart in a very calculated, methodical, and real way. At least for some of us, and historically speaking, there have always been some of us for whom this has always been true. But it is certainly true in the present moment for many of us. And if the trajectory of the actions that are being undertaken by those now leading our government continue as they are, as some would have it, many more folks will be impacted. Even those who might be observing current events with something like glee in a belief that they are somehow exempt. So in those meetings I've mentioned, sometimes in order to shift the momentum, to lift despairing and dejected spirits, I or others might ask, what has been sustaining you these days? What is lifting your heart? And indeed, I propose these as check-in questions that might accompany the very authentic responses we might receive to, how goes it with your spirit? Because we want to offer a sacred container for those responses to be authentically offered, and yet we also want to allow us all to connect with other important aspects of our lives. I too have many moments, my moments of deep concern and fear. I have sometimes found myself crying in the middle of my meditation practice and shedding those tears as I acknowledge that my grief is important. But as I have mentioned here or in other places, what has been sustaining me is my focus on my ancestors, people from centuries ago whose worlds fell apart in a very real way. I was sharing with someone the other day that I often think of my grandparents now more than ever before, especially my grandmothers, but actually all of my grandparents who I either knew personally or who were otherwise real to me through the stories I was told. There is an image my aunt, who lives in South Carolina, has of my newlywed great-grandparents and my great-great-grandfather. It's an image that actually sits in the historical society of their town to this day. The image was taken in about 1918 and is not anything fancy by any means. It shows a farmer minister, my great-great-grandfather, who knew I was in the family business, sitting in a wooden carriage drawn by a couple of mules with his son and a worker standing by him. My aunt pointed out to me that peering out of the window of the simple wooden house behind these men is my great-grandmother, pregnant with a child who became my aunt's mother and my grandmother. Though my great-grandparents were successful as farmers for that time and that era, and the little 1 square mile village, rural village they lived in, viewing the image, it is quite evident that they were by no means wealthy. But I often wonder about their lives. You see, they lived in Clarendon County in South Carolina, where my aunt lives today, a place where Black folks were literally terrorized for more than a century after receiving their freedom. And I am about to describe to you and share with you some difficult, violent incidents that my family members lived through, and I just want you to be forewarned about that. So Clarendon County is where in the 20th century, a 5'1", 90-pound, 14-year-old boy named George Stinney Jr. was tried, convicted, and sentenced to death on a single day in 1944 for 2 murders he could not have committed. His confession was received when they bribed him with an ice cream cone. He became the youngest American to this day to be executed via the electric chair. After his sentencing, they actually moved him to a prison in another town because even after being convicted, they were afraid he was going to be lynched. His body is buried in the church cemetery of the small town my father grew up in. And I learned this story because my father referred to it when I was a child. And I never forgot the frightened and haunted look in his eyes, because this happened when he was a child. And that now, as a grown man who was then living in Brooklyn, married and with 2 children, the memory still brought up for him fear and terror. Stinney's sentence was vacated 71 years later in 2014 as a wrongful death. Later in Clarendon County, the Briggs family, who was the first case in Brown v. Board of Education, in which the Supreme Court determined that segregated schools were unconstitutional, the Briggs family were ultimately chased out of town by the Ku Klux Klan and more besides. Elliot and Eliza Briggs were posthumously awarded the Congressional Medal of Freedom in 2003. And in the 1990s, when Black churches in the county were being burned by the KKK, the Southern Poverty Law Center brought charges and ultimately won the case that resulted in a judgment that bankrupted the Christian Knights of the KKK in both South and North Carolina. You can applaud, but I'm sure they have their money back by now, right? But I share these stories on this last Sunday of Black History Month because these are people who suffered much, sacrificed much, often for more than just themselves, and who are very courageous. And I walk in their footsteps today, in their footsteps in the path they laid of courage. And as a child, I felt it was my duty to do what I could do to further what they had begun. I share these stories as I consider a Black Future Month, and what I believe is my responsibility as a very ordinary person to see that there is one. I share these stories as I consider our current chaos and my firm faith and belief that it is possible for us all to survive it. I do not believe, though, that the coming days and months will be easy, despite our best efforts. They will likely be difficult if we are about the painstaking project of creating the good, the justice our hearts imagine is possible. And I say this not to be morose or to discourage you, but because chaos and change usually signal transformation, the creation of something new. And it could go either way, right? But I do live in the firm hope that one day our progeny, whether they are of the next generation or 7 generations into the future, might know that though we now might suffer much, we have been willing to sacrifice much for more than just ourselves. And we each in our own way have been very courageous. And our courage will become their blessing. For those of you who might be wondering, a blessing can range from a prayer invoking divine protection, or a phrase or a word that requests a desirable result, such as, may there be a blessing upon your travels or your health. It might be the formal act of approving something, such as, they gave my project their blessing. The primary thing, though, is that no matter the nature of a blessing, it ultimately speaks to our well-being and a positive outcome. The author of our opening words, Adrienne Marie Brown, who actually wrote that blessing we read, I think it was just last week. She names many blessings specific to these times, both granular and specific. They are invocations, requests for a desirable state, and I believe also her approval. Most significant is that before she offers her blessings in this context, she reminds us that we are not observers. We are no audience. At stake is our freedom. And what she blesses are our actions, as far-ranging and as strikingly unusual as they might be. She blesses our lawsuits, our marches, public and private stands, our states' rights, our sit-ins and blockades, our radical art, our altar work, our ancestors, our dignity, our duty, and our children, our community deepening, seed banks. You know, about 15 or so years ago, someone asked if I could assist an Iraqi refugee who was in need of a resume to find a job. And I said, sure, I'll do it. I used to be an executive recruiter and a career coach, so that came easy to me. And he and I spent a lot of time together. And what I discovered was that in Iraq, before we began dropping bombs on it, he was in charge of the seeds. He was, I'm not sure if he was the director of agriculture, but he said I was in charge of the seeds, and he had a lot to tell me about that. But good things, actually frightening things, the things that we thought were weapons of destruction were actually ears of corn. That's what we were told, they were weapons of destruction. He said that when we began dropping bombs on Iraq, they were feverishly trying to save the seeds. Because, he said, seeds represent a culture and the lives of a people and the lives of a land. And so they were desperately trying to save the seeds. But I digress. The land we love, she declared a blessing upon. The truth we teach, the truth we tell, and the books we save. And right now, I want to share with you 5 blessings that are actions I believe the current chaos and change offers us now. These are not comprehensive by any means, as I believe if we seek the blessings, as in the opportunities to create a more desirable state in these times, we will discover and come to understand that there are potentially many more blessings. The first is we have received the blessing of learning how to hold on in difficult times. The question, what is sustaining you and lifting your heart, is a call to the personal action of nurturing, nourishing, and creating anchors for yourself. We might feel afraid, but what anchors are we holding on to lift us up out of despair? Or what might we choose to hold on in addition to, or perhaps more than, the understanding that we are suffering? And while our suffering in one form or another is a reality, we are only lifted from it when we are consciously seeking that which fills and lifts our hearts. I personally prefer the metaphor of light, though you might use some other. The point is that if we do not learn how to hold on through difficult times like these, we will likely succumb to suffering. It wins. Second is the blessing of discovering that we cannot think or act alone. We must do so in community. I thought, actually, that we learned this during the pandemic, and though folks are perhaps now more aware of our interdependence than we once were, it is nonetheless easy to give into overwhelming despair when we believe we, or I, must solve what ails us alone. The individualistic mindset might have inevitably led to our current situations nationally, globally, and perhaps even personally, but it does not provide the answer to what will see us through. We must think in community. We must act in community. Third is the blessing of no longer taking anything for granted and understanding what is most important to us as we have never done so before. Whether we are talking about ourselves and our families, or this community here, or the nation and world writ large, we must begin to fully reflect upon what is the world we seek to live in. What is our heart's aspiration? Then go about realizing it, not for ourselves alone, but for all people, for the generations, 7 generations ahead. And 4 is the blessing of creative resilience and resistance to forces that would aim for less than our well-being. That means thinking in ways we have not considered before. You know, I was having dinner with a group of people last night, and a young black man in that party said, "You know, folks think that black folks are just joyful all the time, that we create all this stuff that involves our laughter and our creativity and our joy, and yet that has actually been a very creative form of resistance, which allowed us to be resilient. And I know there's a lot of talk about, oh, resilience means something was wrong. Yeah, you think? We know. We know. And so you have a choice, right? Like you either succumb to the stuff that's going to do you in, or you decide to become resilient. You know, there's a story in a book that I had to read during seminary called Slave Religion. It was written by a highly regarded scholar on black religion. And he told the story of how when enslaved people were told they could not practice their religion, even the religion that their enslavers were teaching them, and they wanted to practice their religion, that what they did, or some of them did, was they had a hole in the middle of their the cabins that they lived in. And they would place their instruments into the hole, and they would sing towards the hole so that their voices would not be carried and they would not be found out. And they got to practice their religion, and that is creative resistance right there. We got to learn how to do this. We have to learn how to be open and curious about what we do not or cannot see. Curiosity as a spiritual practice. What don't I know about this? What do I need to know? I am asking myself that question all the time. What unprecedented thing might we consider or try in these unprecedented times? And 5 is the blessing of discovering that none of us is free until all of us is free. Any society that chooses to oppress some of us has the capacity to oppress any or all of us. Any society that believes it is okay to diminish some or take away the rights of some has the capacity to raise the bar or widen the circle of oppression to include any or all of us. And so I encourage you to not dwell unduly upon the chaos we are presented with. But yes, remain aware of what's going on. But most important, think about the blessings of this time and what we are being called to. That is the blessing. Individually and collectively. It is hard, my friends. I am not trying to sugarcoat this for any of us. It is going to be challenging. It is challenging for many people right now. As the person who spoke about her friend losing her job, this is challenging. And yet we must continue on. I am here because there are people who decided to continue on. When faced with terrible, horrific challenges, we must do the same thing. And so I leave you with the words of Adrienne Marie Brown, who offers a blessing on our dream of democracy, only realized through our everyday bodies. A blessing on the people who were only given the earth. May it be so, my friends. Amen, ashe, and blessed be. And so, as many of you know, it takes much to create what we have here. It takes much for us to have this space in which we could gather and talk and just be with one another. And so As the greeters come forward, I want to remind you it takes our time, it takes our talent, it takes our creativity, imagination, filling out that pulse survey, and it takes our treasure. If you do not have something to place into the collection pouches, feel free to point your device at the QR code on the screen, and you will be taken to our giving portal. And now I turn you over to Demeanor, who will offer us the Offertory.
Fitted fashion my tapestry, I keep a story attached to me. Black hoodie represents a catastrophe. Even before being them, I was seeing it happen in front of me. Had a few things done to me I was too young to fathom. Just imagine being in the position of being picked apart based upon your pigment. They said I was academically challenged, but it was the academics that I challenged. I never fit in my district. They taught me lineage beginning to change. My family sees that I'm beginning to change. The attitude that I tapped into in that particular stage benefited me at the end of the day. White friends think that I'm too black. Black friends think I'm way too militant, and yet not black enough, even though most of them won't admit it. But neither of them have a problem with calling me a... I used to read a lot of fiction because the nonfiction was an odd mixture of both. So I studied on my own. I learned that colonialism wasn't only a decision based upon expanding the hold on the globe. They thought that it was already there, so they were sold. And if you disagree with them, then you knew it was on. History is written by the victor. I think their definition of victory is wrong. Thank you.
We give thanks for all of the blessings of beloved community, and we give thanks for the blessing of you, Demeanor. Thank you so much. And now I will turn it to Wendy.
Please rise in body or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 1015, I Know I Can. It's in the teal hymnal, and the lyrics are on the screen. Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though troubles wait at every turn, I know
words this morning are from Joseph Cherry, who writes, "If we have any hope of transforming the world and changing ourselves, we must be bold enough to step into our discomfort, brave enough to be clumsy there, loving enough to forgive ourselves and others. May we, as a people of faith, be granted the strength to be so bold, so brave, and so loving. May it be so, my friends. Go in love, go in peace, go carrying with you the blessing, the most profound blessing that will allow you to carry on. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be."